Tonight's main event, 20-year-old Zabdil Judah out of Brooklyn, New York, 16-0 with 11 knockouts. The USBA junior welterweight champion. Last fought here on ESPN2 on June the 7th in Miami. A 12-round decision against Mickey Ward. Judah is on the fast track to a world championship.
The future looks unlimited for this young man, and he knows what he's after.
You can run, but you can't hide in this boxing game. You know, once I get to number one contender, then those guys, they can't run. You know, Vince Phillips, champions, and, you know, the rest of them, they know who they are, you know. I mean, I have no personal beef. It's just they got something I want.
Well, Zabdil Judah, certainly an engaging character, and tonight he goes against a guy, Al, who's 8 years older and has a lot more experience, both bad and good.
Yeah, Otillio Villarreal at age 28 is very much a journeyman. He's been in with some decent people. He is 4-6 in his last 10 fights, as we've outlined to you. He's an aggressive fighter who will come to you, can take punches, and can deliver them. And what that should make for is an entertaining matchup, because Zabdil Judah is very much a boxer-puncher.
Villarreal, not a big puncher. His knockout percentage not that high, and he's going to have to deal with a fast ring and the speed of Zabdil Judah. Can he handle it?
Yeah, and a big ring, which helps Judah certainly, and I think that's going to be a real struggle for him. One thing Mickey Ward showed is that if you can throw a really consistent left hook, you can get it in over the right hand of Zabdil Judah. But Ward wasn't able to do it enough to win a fight. The question is, can Villarreal do it, and does he punch hard enough to make that punch really work?
Yeah, in round 7 in that Ward fight, as we had here on ESPN2, the young Judah faced some adversity, but the key was he was able to fight through it.
You know, in those middle rounds, he was stunned by Mickey Ward, and we thought he might be getting a little bit tired. He'd never gone 12 rounds before, but he was able to suck it up, and I thought the most significant thing about that performance for Judah was just that, Bob, that he, in the later rounds, showed us not only poise, but he showed a lot of endurance as well.
Well, the Judah camp expects Villarreal to work the body. Lou Duva feels that Villarreal will pressure him, and he says that Villarreal is hittable, but he'll hit back.
That's exactly right, and for young Zab Judah, all these bouts are the bouts that make you a contender, that make you a champion. You need to face different styles. That's what he's doing here tonight.
Judah with 7 career first-round knockouts. For the introduction, here's our ring announcer, Bill Carpenter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Cardinale Promotions and Main Events, in association with the King of Beers, Budweiser, present your main event of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the junior welterweight division. The judges for tonight's main event are Leo Gerstel, Robert McCoy, and Paul Driscoll. The third man in the ring for tonight's main event will be referee Dick Flaherty. Introducing the principals first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim. He weighed in for tonight's main event at 145 pounds. From New York City, New York, this fighter has compiled an impressive professional record of 15 victories against only 6 defeats, with 1 draw, 8 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, Otillio Villarreal. His opponent across the ring to my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks and weighing in at 143 pounds. This fighter hails from Brooklyn, New York, and steps into the ring undefeated as a professional. 16 victories, no defeats, 11 big wins coming by way of knockout. He is the reigning USBA Junior Welterweight Champion, Zab Super Judah.
Okay, gentlemen, you're both experienced professionals. Let me run quick rules by you. In case of a knockdown, man scoring a knockdown, go to the corner I send you to. Don't come back to the center in the ring. Get in close, you're tied up, I say break. I want you both to start punching, both step back. One other thing, no hitting on the break, no hitting on the belt, no hitting a man when he's down. Okay? Just rub your hand over his face. Rub your hand over his face, please. Rub your hand over his face. There you go. Okay, very good.
Okay, we are set for tonight's main event. Zab Judah not defending his USBA Junior Welterweight Championship that he won against Irish Mickey Ward here on ESPN2 on June the 7th. In that fight, Al, Judah was not as successful with his bread and butter as far as his punches were concerned, although he still managed to win the bout. His jab percentage was just at 13%.
Very low percentage with his jabs, and that is a punch that normally works for him. And we'll see if they, I know the main events people and Lou Duva, they're very aware of punch profile, CompuBox. They see the value in looking at those numbers, and I'm sure they have looked at that percentage and thought about how can we improve to make sure his jab does land.
Lou Duva very high on Judah. He said that Judah's a couple of fights away from a big title shot, and he feels that Judah has to continue, like all southpaws, to be unpredictable. Duva said that Judah sort of reminded him of Pernell Whitaker, both the good and the bad. Slick, stylish, outstanding, and showboating that could be nerve-wracking at times.
Lou actually stated that he felt that if Pernell Whitaker had not showboated so much, he might have won the De La Hoya fight, although the way they scored it, 6 points for De La Hoya. I don't know, maybe a gun, a whip, and a chair would have been necessary to convince the judges. But it is true that Judah does do that. He does showboat a bit, and some people get distressed by it. Remember, Zab Judah, you and I watched him in the 1996 Olympic trials and box offs. He was not an aggressive fighter. He ended up really losing to David Diaz, who ultimately represented the United States, because he just didn't throw enough punches, and that certainly is not the Judah we've seen as a pro.
88 more rounds as a professional for Villarreal than Judah. Yeah, he was a reluctant competitor. Ooh, shot low by Judah. You hear the referee caution him at the midway point of round 1.
Judah has a very good right hook to the body.
In fact, when he stopped Angel Beltry on April the 14th in Connecticut, it was with body shots.
Villarreal missing with the left hook, a punch he will want to get in if he can.
In Villarreal's 22 professional bouts, he's only been knocked out once, back in 1995 to Dimitrios Sabalos.
Sabalos, a pretty good fighter.
And that was in the 11th round.
That was for the IBF, I believe, Intercontinental Championship. He lost the 10-rounder, did Villarreal, to Adrian Stone in '96. And you remember seeing Adrian Stone many times here on ESPN. He was, at that time, a welterweight with some power and a pretty good welterweight. And he did not knock Villarreal out, but did beat him over 10. Good round for Zab Judah.
Just pawing with his jab now, and both men miss. Final seconds of round number 1 scheduled for 10. Zab Judah and Otillio Villarreal on the deuce.
Zabdil Judah threw almost 100 punches in that round. There's the slipping, though, that he had, and here's the punching. Throwing lots of good combinations to the head of Villarreal.
Round number 2 of the scheduled 10-rounder underway, and we take a look at some punch numbers in round 1.
There's the number of jabs. Well, we said he wasn't landing jabs as well in the last fight. I guess they fixed that, huh? He's landing 44%, 30 of 69 jabs, and he landed a total of 49 punches in that round of 99, 50% landing for Judah.
How about Ronnie Shields, his lead trainer, saying, I want you to establish that jab, stick that jab, and Judah had an interesting response. Mentioned that Villarreal hits hard.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said that. I wanted to make sure. I mean, that's interesting because Villarreal is not known as a huge puncher, so he got the attention of Zabdil Judah.
You hear Ronnie Shields in the background saying, that's the one, that's the one.
You see, what you can do to Zabdil Judah, the one thing that you can see early that you can do with him, and Mickey Ward tried and got it done once in a while. You can land the left hook, but you got to throw it quick, and there you see he missed it, and you got to almost aim for his shoulder. Because Judah will keep that right hand low and keep it down there after he's thrown a body punch. And that was the punch that Ward hurt him with. That's why, of course, against the lefty, you always want to try and double with the left hook anyway, throwing it to the body first to feel him.
Judah seems a bit crisper than he did in the Ward fight.
Early on, yes. Early on against Ward, he was just a little tentative.
Maybe it was because he was fighting someone that he had heard of.
Well, and he said it in that feature. He said, I watched Mickey Ward when I was 6 years old on ESPN, so it meant something. Now, if you watched him when he was 6, let's see, I was on ESPN then, too. That's starting to make me feel a little old.
That was 14 years ago.
Yeah. At least he's only 20, so that's not so bad.
Now, if George Foreman said that, then you would have had a problem.
I'd be really upset.
Whoa. Combination from Judah, followed by a left.
Now,
from Judah that is unnecessary.
Wow, that's hand speed.
Count at 9.
Put him up. Put him up.
Only 10 seconds to go in the round. And I thought I heard a bell, but I guess not. And Villarreal is down at the bell. Well, he can be saved by the bell, by the referee's discretion in the state of Massachusetts, but the bell rang twice. We're going to have to go back and listen to this. The bell rang twice. It rang with about 6 seconds, and then it rang as he got knocked out. Let's listen in. Down went Villarreal. 25 seconds to go in round 2.
Tremendous hand speed by Judah, and now we'll see him get up, and we'll count down to where we think we heard a bell.
Yeah, right around 6 seconds left. You'll hear a bell. Let's listen.
Put him up.
They'll boost it for you in the truck. Right there. About 8 seconds. It sounded like a bell in the background. Now the second knockdown out came before the bell.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, he did get knocked down just before. So, and I don't know, I mean, it remains to be seen whether what we heard at 8 seconds was in fact the official bell.
Let's see the replay.
Either way, despite the earlier controversy, there is no way that Villarreal would have won this fight, and there's no way I think he would have survived another round. So,
Zab Judah, knockout winner for Al Bernstein and our entire crew. This is Bob Papa saying so long. This has been a